Hey all, Board Game Nerds here. We'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more in this cold month of January in the northern US of A. I got some gameplays in. Hopefully you did too. My MVP's coming right up. All right, so what kind of gaming did we do here? I got myself in 66.5 games in the month of January. I'll get to that 0.5 here in a second. Spread over 14 different games. Got some video game playing in too. I just like to throw that in there. Red Dead Redemption 2. Gosh, that game is wonderful. I picked up Monster Hunter World. Haven't really gotten into that one yet, but back to board games. Now, the precursory games I play on my typical game nights there for family stuff. We got The Mind. We got a couple games in there. And Pinochle. Illusion. We played Illusion, which is the same designer that made The Mind, I think, did Illusion. And it is a cool little card game as well. And I don't know that we like it as much, but it is very easy to play, and you're busting out these cards that one at a time, and you're trying to guess what percentage of a color is represented on that card. And it's pretty interesting that you have red's your color, and the card has 4 different colors on it, and then kind of a white background. You're just trying to look at it. It really messes with your, that's what they call it, illusion. Messes with your eyes and trying to think, because you'll put down, okay, I think the first card's down, and now your card, you have to decide, well, does that have more or less of the red color? And then you put it down accordingly, either in front of the line if you think it has less, or further down the line if you at the end of the line if you think it has more. And then everybody takes a turn that way, drawing a card and trying to decide where does that card go in the line, till finally someone puts a card down and the next person goes, I don't believe it. And then what you don't believe is that the card is in the appropriate spot, that it has more or less than the card before it or after or whatnot. And so then you get to flip them over, and the cards on the backside tell you the percentages of the colors on it. So you don't have to guess anymore. It's like, oh man, that had 13% red on it, and this had 12% red, and you put it ahead of it. Boom! I think you get the card, and it counts as a point. And once you get 3 of those cards in that manner, you win the game. And so very straightforward, and another cool little family game by the designer of The Mind. The rest of the month, not the rest of the month, but a big portion of this month was playing games that I'd played a lot last year as I was trying to come up with the best of 2018. And so I played Renegade 4 times. I played Anachrony a couple times. Teotihuacan 4 times. Gaia Project 4 times. Spirit Island 2 times. Too Many Bones Undertow 3 times. I was playing these games to get a sense of again, what was going to be my top-rated game of 2018. Oh, and to that half game, that was Gloomhaven. God, I freaking love to hate to love that game. I've got it set up. Actually, it's on this table right behind me. I've got the little map portion, and over on this side, I've got it. I'm in my basement right now. I got it set up on a workbench, and it's just sprawled out, and the time it took to I was trying to catch up on the story and try to remember stuff, and then I started playing through a game, but it's freaking cold down here. Right now I'm freezing my ass off, but I got this little heater going. I got a whole half game in. Now it does have an app, which I'm going to be checking out, called Gloomhaven Helper, which people seem to be raving about, and it sounds like it's going to take a lot of the tedious stuff out of the game that takes so much time to set up and run. And so I'm excited to try that. I haven't yet. I'm trying to get one freaking game under my belt just so I can remember kind of where I'm at in the campaign, and then try using the app. I'm getting there, but that was my half game play is Gloomhaven. And now that it's set up, I think I'm just going to leave it up. I just got to keep the humidifier things going down here so that things don't get all wrinkly and yucky. But looking forward to continuing that. And so a lot of the games then I've done videos, or I've done reviews or stuff on this, so I'm not going to go over too many of those that I just talked about. Another game that I been playing quite a bit more just because of life and circumstances, and I've just been with the right crowd in the right place is Shadowrun Crossfire, which I just got an actual copy of. I had sort of a rinky-dink, piecemeal print and played version of it because he couldn't get it. And then the second edition came out. Anyway, I got 3 plays of that in just by myself and played about 5 or 6 times multiplayer. And it's just great. It's a good game. It's blisteringly difficult and you can play it pretty quick. And I got it on a trade, which I'll talk a little bit about more here as we go on. So there wasn't really a disappointing game per se this month because I played so many games that I love, and I was just trying to figure out where they ranked, so to speak, in my mind. But I did try a solo variant, a fan-made solo variant from Solo Play. Board gaming rules for one. Anyway, it's on my best 2018 video. I pulled out Russian Railroads. Russian Railroads is a good game, and I played and learned the solo variant 3 times, and I just didn't really get into it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with a solo variant per se. I think it may even have to do with just the fact that I'm a little bit burnt out on worker placement games, I guess. It's a very straightforward worker placement game, and you're not really actually building. I love track building games, and this one's more of or I used to, or I think I still do. Anyway, I like the idea of it. And this one, you don't really build track. You sort of mark your track along this. There's 3 different tracks you can build, and you're trying to level up your track. You start off with a basic track, and then behind it you can upgrade your track with this color, and you can upgrade your track with this color, and that's the gist of it. And then you score based on how far your locomotives can take you down that track. And it's all represented on your own player board. And it's a very slick system. And I enjoy it. But the solo variant just it's an impeding style solo variant where you get in your own way. So that's the way it's unique. You don't just draw a card really and block a space per se. You are taking spaces that then you have to unblock according to the rules of the solo variant. So it's very clever. And so I don't know if I'm just into a very different style of solo variant right now, and I just not really appreciating it like I used to, or I'm just burnt out on worker placement games. Not sure what it is, but it just kind of left me kind of going, eh. And I put it away, and I doubt I'm gonna try that one again. So not really disappointed, just I guess I wanted to like it more. And I didn't. The surprising game of this month was Wingspan. So Wingspan is a game about birds, and nobody really cares about birds like all the people that, really comment on the game, but also nobody hates birds. So, it'd be weird to I hate that theme. Nobody says that either. So it's fine. And the artwork is tremendous. Well, okay, the way the game looks is just incredible. It looks phenomenal. It plays with this glossy interaction between what can be fairly complicated mechanics. And that's probably the shining thing for me in this game is I did play it, I played it 14 times solo, which is saying something, but once you get into it, you can play a game in a half hour. You can play a lot of games of Wingspan pretty quick. The Automa is buttery smooth. It's perfect for the game. But what I really liked about it is I played it once, multiplayer, and with a variety of people. My wife and then some friends of mine one has a lot of experience in games, and the other one just doesn't, she doesn't really care. But it was easy to teach, and it just combines all of these fun tableau building, engine building, resource collecting, all these things in such a beautiful format. It's just an incredibly designed game, and I believe it's the person's first design, and it's just like, dang, that is impressive. It's a little like, although I hope, it's going to be hard to top. And sort of like Gloomhaven. Once you put out a Gloomhaven, where do you go from there? Now, I'm not comparing Wingspan really with Gloomhaven, but it's just, I see it as it's probably going to be on a lot of people's, favorite game of some top 10 lists. I'm sure it's going to be there. And it's well deserved, but it's not as weighty as I like, and so I was surprised that I just got as many plays in it, because usually I tire of that kind of game. I don't win the game very often, which which bodes well for me. I don't, if I do, and that's what happened too with Russian Railroads when I played it 3 times. I won 2 out of the 3 times, and I looked at it, I went over the rules again. I was like, how did, it should be, I wanted it to be tougher. I was getting high ranking victories. And so, and I just don't like that. I prefer to lose. And so the Birdie Bot on Wingspan does a fine job in kicking your ass. And so I lose that game mainly, and you can play it on different levels. I actually started playing it the first 2 games on the hardest level because I was so afraid that if I just played it a couple times and I won, I would just put the game away forever. So I put it on the hardest level and got creamed. And I think I finally won. I don't remember, it was on my 6th try or something. It was, or 8th. It was way up there. It was embarrassing. The most fun part that I enjoy about it, though, is just building up that engine and the cards that you put down. Then you get to take actions on that row of cards, and the more actions you get to take all has to do with how many birds you've played in that particular section. And so you're building this engine that then you can take an action for, and then you get to activate all your birds and their powers, which really just makes very cool combinations. And you can score by tucking cards and just making that what you're doing, building flocks. Or you can do it by laying a bunch of eggs on on your cards, which consequently is one of the most annoying parts of the game. Is if you got some eggs on the cards and then you're trying to tuck the cards under those cards with the eggs, and then you got cards all around those cards, then your aviary explodes and you got eggs rolling all over the place, and you're trying to, anyway. So I just tuck my cards off to the side now. I don't even try to put them. No tucking, just stacking. Wingspan. That's it. That's all I got to say about it. It's a fantastic game. Oh, and so Stonemaier Games, I think you can go on there and you can become a champion member, I think is what it's called. And it's like $1 a month, so $12 a year. And that's why I was able to get the game so quick. You pre-order it. And so I don't even think it's out really yet. But I highly recommend it. One, Jamie Stegmaier is just a stellar member of the board gaming community. I don't know the guy, but he comes across as very much a lot of integrity, and also too, I've seen the way he's running distribution, the way he explains things. It's just fantastic. This was definitely in my ranking of the publishers of CDG. Chip Theory Games just barely beat out Stonemaier Games. That I really enjoy them, and I appreciate them, and so I became one of these members, the championship, and you get free shipping and you get early access to games. I highly recommend it to anybody. I mean, if you're, and I got this game basically just because I really wanted to just support the company, and I figured I'd probably like it and at least be able to get some multiplayer action in it, and it all added up to goodness. So, a little surprised that I liked that as much as I did, but I did. That's Wingspan. Now, the MVP. And this is by far this, and I didn't even get this game until about halfway into January because I saw it and then I was like, it is not a cheap game, and I did not want to put out the funds for this game until I had researched it. So it just sat on the shelf at my friendly local game store for a long time, at least in my opinion. I just go to the game store a lot and I saw it a lot. So it felt like forever. It's probably like 2 days now. It was like 2 weeks. Excuse me. I think it was 2 weeks. And I was waiting until I saw enough videos on it, read the rules, etc., and finally picked it up. And I am so glad I did. That game is Nemesis. Why did I say that? Because it plays like a movie. You play this game. I don't know. I've ever been so engrossed, so involved in the game, and the story that you tell as you play the game, as you're playing this character on this ship, Nemesis, and you're waking up, and sirens are going off all over the place, and there's a dead comrade with a big hole in their chest, and you just woke up out of hypersleep or something. And something's wrong, and you know it, and you have no idea what it is. You're in this fog. You have no real recollection of exactly where anything is on the ship, so you're stumbling around, and then shit starts going down. You've got a couple objectives that you get to start with, and you kind of, it never goes according to plan, and you lose over and over again. I think I've got 12 solo plays on this, and I played it once cooperatively with a couple others, and it's just everything about this game I love. And the biggest part is just the experience of the game. There's not really any gigantic theme to it. There's no big storyline, but the reason I call it the movie is because it's basically Aliens, the game, or Alien, or that whole series of Alien, Aliens, Alien Resurrection, that whole series. I love, my family loves, and we've all got our alienisms that we are always we always bring up somehow. They mostly come out at night, mostly. Or why don't you put her in charge? Moment of silence for Bill Paxton. I think I've got those right. It's funny too, because you'll watch the movie and you've got all these things you're saying, then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, that's not really how it goes. Anyway, it is the movie in a board game without the rights. I think. I don't know how they got away with that one, but I think the game was made over somewhere in London. So good luck chasing them down or something. Anyway, this game is big, beautiful, and what's fun too about the game is at the start of the game, it's just dark. It's just got this dreary, scary look to it, and it doesn't look at all, doesn't pop. But as you play the game, it just starts lighting up in just beautiful color. And because as you're exploring the corridors, and you get to each room, and each room it's got this cool mechanism of you roll for noise. Did you move too loudly so that something stirred behind you or in front of you or something? While you're doing it, you're like, oh shit, I think I heard something back that way. Don't know what it is, but I think I'm gonna go this way now. Because you don't want to run into these things. The monsters in this game, you've got the firepower, you're playing the soldier or whatever, and you found some killer weapons. You can search rooms, and you can find there's a red deck that represents weapons, and there's a yellow deck that represents items, and there's a green deck that represents tend to be health things. And you're gonna need it. Oh, you're gonna need it, because these things jump out of nowhere. You roll a bad noise roll, and something comes flying out of the air ducts, and it's the friggin' queen. And you've got this egg in your hand, and you're trying to take it to the lab so you can do something, whatever your objective is, or you're trying to go to the nest, light the damn thing on fire, or you're just trying to make sure you get to planet Earth, or you're trying to make sure you activate the escape pods and the self-destruct, and then get on the goddamn escape pods before the friggin' ship blows up. And then you got fires springing up, there's malfunctions, and it's just falling apart, and you hear all these scary noises around you. But you can do things to sort of mitigate that. You've got this card system that in your hand, it represents the actions that you can take. Basically, you've got to discard so many cards in order to take certain actions. Usually only 1 to 2, but you can try and move quietly around the ship. Just out of nowhere, you're going to be doing just fine, and then you just get and some people complain about this, the luck. That's the hazard of walking around on a ship called the Nemesis. What'd you think? It was going to happen. It was going to just be, every ounce of skill is going to make sure, well, you can play the game skillfully and you have a higher chance of winning, I think. And I've made some dumb moves. It's like, shit. When I was in this room, I should have just activated, the self-destruct and just hauled balls through and tried to get to that escape pod. And I didn't. Now I got to go back. And when you go back, you die. You try to backtrack. You're going to die. They're going to find you, and you're going to die. And the game's cool, too, in that you're not really it's not about trying to kill all of the aliens. It's much more about trying to hide from them. And then when they show up, run from them. Sometimes you take little pot shots at them, and there's this cool little mechanism where sometimes you take a pot shot at them, and a lot of times it's not even nearly enough to kill them. But you got a little damage on the queen, and you flip over this card, it's got like 1 damage. The queen ain't going down with 1 damage. You don't even know how much damage it takes to take out the queen, or really anything for that matter, which is awesome too. It's not like, the adult aliens all have 3 health. Around there, but you have to do damage, and then you get to flip over a card, and it'll tell you basically if you killed the thing or not. It's very cool. But 1 damage can be enough to freak out the alien and have it, jump back in the air duct or take off. And and so there's all these different things that just add to the experience of the game as you're playing it. I can't think of a game that I've really felt that, and that I get so involved in. I mean, I get into, there's a bit of a potty mouth problem while I play this game because it gets intense. I think I've rambled on enough about this. I'm definitely gonna be doing some videos on this game. But Nemesis, holy moly, what a sweet pickup that one was. To wind down the show, I did my first trade, which felt weird. Giving up games, I've never, I've got hundreds of games, and I just kind of, I'd see them and it's like, no, it's my baby. I don't want to, no, I can't. Even though I don't play you anymore or whatever, but worked out a trade with someone up north of me, hour and a half. Turns out he was a fan of the show. Thank you, Anthony, for meeting up. It was a pleasure. And what are the chances? I mean, really, that I did my first trade with someone that is watching this probably right now, and picked up Crossfire, or Shadowrun Crossfire, the original. And so now I can get rid of my silly little print and play made version. And Ghost Stories, which I hear is blisteringly difficult. So I am excited to give that a shot. And then he lent me a copy of Apex Theropod deck building game. And I understand that is very difficult to get a hold of. And so I'm very excited. Thank you so much for that, sir. Other games here that I'm looking to try out are, picked up a copy of Blackout Hong Kong. Took me a little while. I know it's an Alex Pfister game. Great Western Trail, Mombasa, and this one had got some mixed reviews, but I could tell it was my kind of game, but people didn't really like the way it looked. Well, that really doesn't matter too much to me as long as the game plays well. And so I am gonna get busy here in February, but it's a shorter month, so we'll see what I can cram into it. So thank you for joining me here the first month of January. If you have any questions or comments on anything you saw here, please feel free to leave them down below, and I'd happily chat. Until next time, I'm Board Game Rants, and I'm out. I quit drinking coffee. Bouncing around, I gotta pee.